Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, trainers of all ages, to the world of Pokemon. As you may know, or maybe you don't, I'm Professor Noki, and you're here once again for the News with Noki on Noki Talks. Man, does it feel good to be back after 2 weeks of not being able to produce video content for this channel. And I tell you what, I am so relieved to be back because we are so close to the release of Pokemon Sword and Shield. I mean, we are now under a month away from the release of these games, and so much brand new information has just been pouring out that I just cannot wait to share. And to those of you who actually follow this type of information closely, you probably have heard a lot of this information already, though I really wanted to cover all of the bases since I've been gone. Starting with the 24-hour live stream that occurred on Friday, October 4th. Where we got to see a glimpse at the Glimwood Tangle and some of the Pokemon that actually inhabit it. Now, this live stream was on the television of my house for virtually the entire time that it was broadcasting. However, I'm not entirely crazy. It's not like I was sitting there watching it the entire time. But to those of you who actually did, no hate at all, I actually absolutely commend your devotion and applaud what you were able to provide for those of us that couldn't sit through such a thing. Aside from seeing a few returning Pokemon that we otherwise didn't know were going to be in this game, we got a brand new first-hand look at Impidimp. Now, the Pokemon Company still has not officially revealed this Pokemon anywhere on their website or provided any further information regarding it. However, we got to see its mischievous nature in all of its full glory. Most of which was actually covering up the real reveal from this 24-hour live stream, which was that of Galarian Ponyta. And in a bit of a backwards logic kind of way, I'm actually somewhat glad that I wasn't able to produce a video after the reveal of this Pokemon, as I would have been right in line with everybody else in assuming that this was a fairy type form of Ponyta. However, that's actually not the case, and this Ponyta is full on psychic type. Now, we have absolutely no information regarding what Rapidash will look like or what its typing will entail. However, I'm assuming that it will gain some form of secondary typing with its evolution into Rapidash, and if I were to make a guess, I would say it would be fairy or maybe flying if it takes on that Pegasus-esque type form like many people are assuming it will. We also found out that Galarian Ponyta will indeed be a Pokemon Shield version exclusive Pokemon. And it isn't exactly clear whether this will be the counterpart for Sirfetch'd from Pokemon Sword. However, considering Sirfetch'd is an evolution of Farfetch'd and Ponyta is a first stage evolution, I'm assuming that this probably is not the case. And in my opinion, this probably hints to the fact that it's either a case where the Pokemon Company has switched things up in these games, and there isn't necessarily counterparts amongst the version exclusives. There's just certain Pokemon in each game that can't be found in the other. Or the Pokemon Company is doing a really great job of marketing this game in a way where they just continuously keep us guessing. And never once in the entire marketing or reveal cycle for these games have they actually provided us the entire picture of pretty much anything. But moving along, we have some more recent information, which was the reveal of brand new Gigantamax forms. And these would include the likes of Pikachu, Eevee, Charizard, Meowth, and even Butterfree. And not only that, but the Gigantamax forms for Pikachu and Eevee will be obtained through your save files from Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, which is even cooler as a reward for all of the hard work that you put into your partner Pokemon in those games. And although it hasn't exactly been made clear how they'll do this, it seems like maybe in some way you're able to actually copy the data from those save files, and maybe you'll obtain the actual Pikachu or Eevee from those games in your Sword and Shield games. Probably my absolute favorite out of all of these is going to be a little cliche, but I think they really did a lot of fan service and amazing detail-oriented work in thinking through the Gigantamax form of Charizard. Though, don't get me wrong, I really do absolutely love all of these forms, and I really appreciate the different hints and references that they put forth in every one of them. In a somewhat related topic, it's actually been rumored and hinted at throughout many of the different scenes in this game that there could potentially be upcoming Gigantamax forms for Pokemon like Gengar and Machamp. Up next, we have a little bit of a continued discussion regarding the Game Informer interview with Game Freak, one that I would absolutely highly recommend you watch for yourself, as there's so much nuanced information written all over their faces and in their personal reactions to the questions they're being asked. And although many of the topics that were discussed in the interview I actually went over in my previous midweek discussion way back before my computer went down, one of my biggest takeaways from actually watching the interview versus just reading the articles that Game Informer posted to their website was just how tight-lipped Game Freak is really being about pretty much all the information about these games. I mean, it really is crazy that we are now less than a month away from these games. We don't know any of the starter evolutions. We don't know pretty much 80% of the game, or the map, or the content, or the mechanics, or really anything about this game whatsoever. And I really do think this is because Game Freak genuinely wants us to experience these games firsthand, with fresh and unassuming perspectives. Not to mention all the mystery and the unknown factors of the game really drive up the excitement building up to the release of these games, and I think that really benefits the entire community overall. The information they have provided is fairly basic in nature. I mean, it gives us a really good indication of how amazing these games are going to be, but it doesn't really give away too much about how amazing these games are going to be. I mean, even recently, when many YouTube content creators were given the opportunity to play through the first 90 minutes of these games, they were restricted in which areas of the game they were actually able to access, they were restricted in being able to evolve the starter Pokemon past the first stage, and they were given very strict rules as to which Pokemon they were able to talk about and which events they were able to disclose. I'll leave links in the description down below to where you can find many of these playthrough videos to watch for yourself, and again, I highly suggest you do so, as not only is there so much brand new information that gets covered in this first 90 minutes of the game, but you'll also get a first-hand look at just how amazing these games are shaping up to be. And I won't give too much away since I personally have not played these games, and I'll leave that to the people who have. However, we now know information like the starting town is called Wedgehurst, that you live outside of in a quaint countryside home with your mum. We know that one of your very first tasks is to rescue a Wooloo from the slumbering Weld, a spooky forest located near the starting town. We know that it's Professor Magnolia and Leon that you and Hop actually ask for your endorsements for in order to join the Pokemon Gym Challenge. And we also know that you will travel through the wild area in order to reach the industrial city that's located on the map, which we now have a name for, being Motostoke, which is a fairly large city that actually includes a gym, and from the images that we've seen thus far, appears to be a fire gym. It's been made clear from these initial playthroughs that Pokemon that will appear in the wild will actually be differing depending on where you find them. So Pokemon that are wandering physically in the overworld will actually be different from the Pokemon that you'll encounter randomly in the grassy areas. And not only that, but there are tons of various biomes and differing weather patterns for each biome that dictate what type of Pokemon will appear and on what given day. And a huge side note, but something that I'm so excited about. We learned that all Pokemon centers will of course include the conveniences of the last few generations, incorporating the market and probably some form of cafe area, but we also learned that in these games for the first time, the Pokemon Center will also include the ability to have your name rated and changed for all of your Pokemon, and even delete their moves. And truly, this might not seem like much, but this is really huge for a Pokemon game, as many of the main core line RPG games in the past made it incredibly difficult to do just that. Now, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee corrected the issue of name changing and made it very accessible to change your Pokemon's name, and it really is awesome that they're continuing to change these features around to make it a lot more accessible and convenient for people to customize their Pokemon in ways that suit them. And I mean, how many times have you faced the same situation that I have, where you'll nickname a Pokemon based on its first stage evolution, and then as it grows and develops and changes form, that name doesn't necessarily still fit the Pokemon that you're now using, and sometimes can just be absolutely absurd. And that'll be it for the Pokemon news today. Now, this definitely does not cover by any means all the information that's been just pouring out from these games as of late. especially when it comes down to the technicalities, the details, and the mechanics of how the games work. So I fully intend the first week of November to create another video that breaks down absolutely everything that we know thus far about these games. Not now to Marvel. Man, did I miss doing that. Now, aside from the tons of rumors that have been just swirling around violently like a whirlwind in the night, but truly, it's been absolutely crazy lately, and sometimes it's really hard to believe what's true and what's just conjecture and people making up their fantasies of how they would love the MCU to go after Endgame. I actually fully intend to make a breakdown here in the coming month or so, going over everything we actually know regarding the MCU and the direction that it's heading, and what we could possibly expect from Phase 4 and maybe even Phase 5 of the cinematic universe. However, today we have some amazing information to go over regarding Kevin Feige and his brand new promotion to head of all creative direction at Marvel Studios. And although the implications of this are really vast and kind of vague at the moment, it really does look like he's going to have the overall say in the directive creative flow of where Marvel heads. And this isn't just the cinematic universe we're talking about here. This is actually also including the comic books, where although he isn't going to be dictating exactly what's written into each individual issue, he will be there directing the overall flow of exactly how everything's going to cohesively work together. And this is exactly what he's been best known for in the cinematic universe, where he's been able to really spin together this amazing storyline that connects so many different facets and so many different characters all together in somehow this cohesive, amazing, brilliant packaged story that we all love and just want to throw our money at. So it'll be very exciting to see what he ends up doing in this new position to maybe even bring together the comics and the cinematic universe. And not only that, but his position will also include creative control over the television series, and this means probably not only the Disney Plus series, but even that's on Netflix, which will be even more interesting to see how he handles and how he transitions to maybe have that connect more into the MCU. You can't tell me that it wouldn't be absolutely amazing if we had this connectivity between the issues of the comic books, the movies on the silver screen, the Disney Plus series on the streaming service, and even the Netflix shows on top of it. So that's going to be it for the general news that I wanted to go over from this past week. Of course, there's a lot of other news stories that did interest me that I would love to bring to you. However, I really wanted to limit what I covered in this video today, as I have so many things to work on for this channel. Which brings me to the next thing that I actually wanted to discuss. As of right now, I am working very diligently to be making some changes to this channel to produce a much higher quality content and be able to provide you as the viewer a lot more of an enjoyable experience. I currently have plans in motion to change and improve the format, the style, the setup overall, and actually the quality as a whole of my channel. And through these new endeavors, I have some extremely exciting new things to come, like live streams, and let's plays, and tutorials, and walkthroughs even. And of course, everybody's favorite, game fails. Not only that, but in the coming week or so, I'm gonna be uploading shiny hunting from Let's Go Pikachu. And then, in just a few short weeks, you'll be able to follow me along in my journey of becoming a Pokemon master in Pokemon Sword and Shield. And along with all of that, my family and all of our wacky adventures, be it with or without Pokemon, are going to start being a lot more of a staple in the coming video projects. So I definitely hope you look forward to seeing all of the brand new content that I intend on bringing to you, and all of the amazing new changes that I seek to add to this channel. And also, one more thing before I go, on par with exciting new endeavors, I will be officially and fully launching my brand new second channel, Full Minded Fools, on November 1st. My initial plan is to upload music first, then maybe some life ramblings, vlog style content, podcast-esque conversations, healthy, easy, and cheap cooking instructionals, and so much more. And I'm extremely excited to have my wife, as long as a few of my best friends, along with to create this brand new content. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, this has been Professor Noki, signing out once again for Noki Talks.
Look, you should definitely take a picture of that big guy.